Hello everyone, and welcome back to In the Greenhouse, the question and answer series that we have here in Plant Tycoon. So for those of you guys who are brand new to the channel because we have grown so much recently and have no idea what this is basically our series where you guys leave questions for me to answer. So it's a continual Q&A series, and you leave the questions down in the comment section. I'll go through and snag some of them and then answer while playing Plant Tycoon. It's very, very laid back. It's meant to be a super chill series where you can kind of just grab some tea, maybe play a game, just listen to this in the background, or you can also watch me as I take care of the wonderful plants in our greenhouse, try to catch a whole bunch of the fun little bugs that fly around, and try to sell things at our nursery, which is also a little place where we can come and upgrade things. Plant Tycoon is a very old game. It is from the Last Day of Work company, and I love it. It was one of my favorite games growing up, and the Last Day of Work is still one of my favorite companies ever, so you'll probably start seeing a whole bunch of their things like virtual villagers and virtual families and all of those games showing up in the future. So keep an eye out for those, and if you guys would really like to see that sooner than later, let me know, because that's something I definitely have been meaning to get to this summer, and it's just been a very busy summer. So yeah, it's a very laid back series. It's kind of just so you guys can get to know a little bit about me, and you can ask all sorts of interesting questions. I'm personally a huge fan of Q&As, so I guess that's one of the first things that you guys get to know about me is that I'm butterfly, easily distracted by beautiful butterflies, but also I'm really obsessed with Q&As. I love listening to YouTuber Q&As, especially of other gaming YouTubers, because it's such an insight into their life and it's just so fun for me. So alright, I still have a giant pile of questions left over from the last few episodes of this Q&A rambling series we've had. So I'm going to go ahead and dive in and answer a few of them. So this one is actually from Silver Pegasus from several months ago, and it says, do you give your plants any names? And I totally do. I don't have any named plants in this game right here in Plant Tycoon, but we have a whole bunch of butterflies. Come here. We have a whole bunch of plants that we have named in the house. Like my tiny little air plant that's inside of a sea urchin is named Charm. I think I actually may have gotten Charm or shown Charm off in some of my vlogs. Yes, we caught a new butterfly. Cool. So I do have a little air plant named Charm. That is an uncommon lemon moth. Neat. And then I have, oh gosh, what else is named? Well, we have Scuba Steve, who is a palm tree that's in Darling's office, and that's a plant I got for him as a gift, and that he named Scuba Steve. I'm not sure why its name is Scuba Steve, but its name is Scuba Steve. We had Winston, who unfortunately passed away because we left him outside. He got infested with bugs, but he was a bird of paradise plant, so it was really sad. We never got any pretty flowers off of him before he died. So this is weird. Now it's suddenly turning into this little list of plants that did have names and died. But we have Mowgli, who is actually my dearly beloved what are you, Mowgli? How did I forget? No, he's my staghorn fern. And I fell in love with staghorn ferns because they're just so cool looking, and I found them in a greenhouse back when we lived in Boone, North Carolina, and I just absolutely loved them. And so staghorn ferns became my favorite thing, but the guy at the greenhouse told me that they're really hard to find, and that's why he couldn't sell any of his. And so I thought they would be this exotic plant I would never own. And then we went to the local greenhouse here, and they had tons of them for sale. So I got a really nice one. I am so in love with him. I water him every morning, and that's Mowgli. And Chips, my boyfriend, actually named him Mowgli, and it stuck. And I think that a few of the other plants have had names from time to time, but none of them really do right now. But for any of you guys who have seen my vlogs, my house is so full of plants because I love having greenery in it, and it's gotten to the point when I go visit people and I'm so confused at what feels off in their house to me, and it's usually that they don't have any plants. If somebody is missing a lot of plants in their house, it really throws me off because the house feels unfinished as a result. So it's kind of an interesting little thing. But in our house, it does kind of look, I'm looking around myself right now, and it does kind of look a little bit like a jungle. And after I move, we're moving at the end of the month, so after we finish the move, one of the major things I plan on doing for my office is completely decorating it with plants. I'm going to have to actually give away most of my plants before we move, because we can only take as many as can fit inside of our car, and that really sucks. So I'm going to have to give away some plants that I've had for years, like my umbrella plant. Oh, that's going to be so hard. But I plan on buying a whole bunch of big plants, small plants, medium plants. I put plants up high so that they stretch across the top of the ceiling if possible. I have really, really large plants like the palm trees or my umbrella plant, which is huge in a big pot that can kind of take up a lot of space in a room. And I love that. It makes me feel calm. It makes me feel energized. It makes me feel happy to have plants everywhere. And it's also really fun for me to have something to nurture that requires attention like that. Very low level attention, just making sure it has enough water, throwing in some fertilizer now and then. And just doing that kind of daily activity every day of taking care of something is just really good for me. I just really love that. So when I move, you guys will be seeing some vlogs over on the vlog channel, and it'll be like buying plants and my excitement when like Chips and I go to the nursery for the first time to go see what kind of plants are at the plant nursery, and buying them and putting them all over my office, and then down the hallway, down the stairs, all over the bedroom, all over the dining room. There's going to be plants everywhere, and that's not even the plants on the deck that I want to have. So it's going to be really hard because I'm going to have to give away most of them, but that's one of the ways I control my environment to make it more positive for me, is by filling it with plants. So that kind of answers that question a little bit more in depth than I meant to, but hey, it's fun. And then, here's another animal related question. So if you guys are wondering, like the classic questions that everybody always asks, what's your favorite animal, or things like that, or do you have any pets? Be sure you check out my vlogs, both on the vlog channel and in the vlog playlist that we have, Updates and Vlogs playlist, because you're going to see tons and tons of animals, including my finches, my geckos, the dogs and cats we've had in the past. And you'll hear the answer on what my favorite animal is, because that question gets asked every single time. Man, I snagged that butterfly. Boom. That question gets asked every single time. And so I don't tend to answer it every single time, but I'll answer it when I feel like it. And so then we have a question from Angela Lance. Do you have a cat? And no, I do not currently have a cat. I lived with cats. We had a cat named Polka Dot when I lived with my aunt, and my parents have a cat named Thursday, and my sister has a cat named Hufflepuff and another one named Marzipan. And I love all of our cats. And then Chips's family, I got that bug. Chips's family also has a whole bunch of cats, and they're absolutely adorable. They're so pretty, and it's so fun to be able to go and hang out with cats. And we both are huge cat people. Like, I'm probably more of a bird person at this stage in my life, just because I adore my finches. You can hear tweeting in the background now and then. Oh, look at that purple spider, or what? Purple spider, you're so cool. A rare bumpy spider. Well, we got him, you guys. And if you're wondering, oh no, why'd you get sick? If you're wondering, well, why we are just sitting here, what on earth is going on with you? How am I going to get your health up? I don't have any money for this. If you're wondering what we're doing in the game right now, vitamins to boost a plant who's not doing well. We're actually sitting here waiting. I think this, it's dead. It's dead. I need to water these things. Oh my gosh, that's what's happening. I think that they're not getting watered. Is that the thing? Or they were too good for this world, you guys. All right. But yeah, to kind of segue away from answering the question of cats, what we're doing is we're sitting in the greenhouse, for those of you who have not seen this game before, and we are trying to see, hello little butterfly, if anything is going to bloom. And once things bloom, we can make new seeds by making new hybrid seeds, or we can sell those plants in the nursery and get money so that we can upgrade our greenhouse and take care of our plants better and get better nets to catch the bugs. So just a little bit of explanation for the game that we're playing. But back to cats, because cats are amazing. Chips and I both really, really, really love cats, and he's definitely a huge cat person, so we would love to have cats in our lives. But the fact of the matter is that we will be traveling a lot. Don't forget, Chips and I are going to be in Asia this time next year. I'm going to be in Taiwan. It should be really cool still, though, because I still plan on hopefully having lots and lots of videos being made, because I will get a new laptop that I can take over there. Taiwan does allow YouTube, so I should be able to upload everything just fine, if not as often as I do. And there's going to be tons of fun vlogs and everything. But we're going to be like traveling a lot, primarily for his research and his job, and that means that we're not going to be home for months at a time, and that is why we do not have a cat. The birds are kind of easy to take care of, and my birds, quite honestly, you guys, could care less if I showed up or not. They as long as there's food and spray millet and fresh water, they're totally fine. because they're finches, they're not like super intelligent parrot-like birds like cockatiels and things like that, who do need to have somebody there to interact with. Like my brother's cockatiel, Sunspot. Oh my gosh, Sunspot cannot tolerate being away from my brother very long. They're totally bonded. They've been together, I think, closing in on maybe 12, 13 years, her whole life, and for most of his life at this stage. So it's actually like he's been with Sunspot for over half his life now. All of my plants are dying. And just really quickly, the reason the plants are dying is because some of these seeds may be really rare, high-quality seeds, but that means the plants are sort of fussy. So like this guy, we're going to lose this guy before it buds and blossoms for me and I can get seeds from it. If I had higher quality soil, which you can actually buy over in the supplies, because we're just using like the basic common soil, but if we had higher quality soil and we bought that, then those finicky plants who are probably worth more once they're grown would survive, but they're not going to right now. But anyway, my brother's cockatiel, Sunspot, she's really, really sweet, but she just cannot handle being away from her person, because in a flock in the wild, birds are very, like a lot of species of birds, really rely on being with their buddies. They rely with being on the other birds to survive. And Sunspot is a species where, as a cockatiel, which is like a more intelligent type of bird, she's really bonded with my brother, and he has to be there for her to be like super happy. My finches, they don't have as much going on upstairs. They're not as intelligent. So as long as they have their flock, as long as they have each other, then they don't really care if I'm around or not. So we don't mind leaving the finches with a house sitter for months at a time and going to travel the world together, because we know they'll be fine. We would mind if we had a cat. That's just not fair to a cat to get attached, to fall in love with it, and then to leave it alone in a house or with like somebody else for months at a time and then just yank it to another house when we return. No, that's not what we want to do. But we do love cats, and cats are really awesome, and we need our cat fix every now and then, even though Chips is actually allergic. No, I'm going to lose so many plants, darn it. So what we do is, or what we're going to do is, when we move to Michigan, there's actually a cat cafe in the same town that we're moving to. So you guys are going to start seeing cat cafe vlogs show up on the vlogging channel, and probably a few on the main channel. It's going to be a whole series because this cat cafe is very high quality. Some of them are really sketchy. You definitely need to do your research before supporting anything that uses live animals. But this cat cafe is actually with the Humane Society, and it's a way for them to show off the animals, to get them accommodated with humans, and for people to go in and they can actually fall in love with the cats right there and adopt them more or less on the spot, after background check and all of that stuff. So that's really cool, because it's not just a cat cafe for profit, it's a cat cafe for the sake of the cats, the sake of the well-being of finding cats who do not have a homes. So I plan on going there with Chips at least once a month, trying to make it a bit of a traditional thing, so we can play with the cats and make lots of videos with the cats, and hopefully like promote that cafe, maybe help find some of the cats find homes. I would really adore that. Maybe even do some sort of fun donation drive one day and help them out if they're really a great cafe. So if nothing else, it'll just be a great fun experience for vlogging and for sharing with you guys how you can help take care of cats. So yeah, we're major cat people. Just we're not going to have a cat, but we're going to get our cat fix from the cat cafe. So there you go, Angelina. Oh my goodness, that was quite rambly, and none of my plants are blossoming. And normally I would have a speed grow, so we would be able to that's an Instagrow. I'm tempted to use it. These Instagrow vapor bombs can make everything grow in the entire greenhouse, but I'm poor. I don't have the ability to do that right now, so we're just going to sit here and kind of keep an eye on everything. Well, maybe I'm going to go ahead and yeah, look at that. Look at those beautiful daisy ferns. You know what? I'm in the mood to raise a bunch of daisy ferns. So we're going to make that guy produce seeds and grow a bunch of daisy ferns, and then we'll sell those in our nursery. So we'll get started on that. All right, so yeah, that was from Angelina. And then Fluffy Pancakes, who I know is kicking around, asked, what genre of book do you like reading the most? And that is definitely fantasy. Fantasy is my favorite series. I adore reading fantasy books. And I started off with Tamora Pierce's books, like the Lady Knight series, if you guys know that one, and Wild Magic. Wild Magic is probably one of my all-time favorite series for like younger younger audience, like young adult reading material. And then what else did I really love? Like, Garth Nix's Sabriel series. Oh my goodness, the abortion series. Oh my gosh, I was all over that. I loved it so much. I still do. I'll still go back and reread it. So I really love fantasy, but I don't like the overdone, I really don't like the overdone medieval sort of fantasy books. I really like very creative world building type books. Like, I'm really into Brandon Sanderson's books right now because he builds really awesome fantasy worlds that have their own like laws of physics. They have their own animals and plants. It's not like just rinsing and washing the same story of medieval Europe over and over and over again. So I really love books that take that approach. And I also love Sanderson's work because his work is not very violent. Often you'll end up with like the more adult fantasy, like things like the Game of Thrones. Oh my goodness, you guys, that stuff can get like way too violent for me, to the point where it's not enjoyable anymore. I understand. I took tons of creative writing classes actually, and I actually thought for a long time that I would grow up to become an author. And then I kind of segued into biology and then segued into YouTube somehow. But I understand the use of more violent characters and more violent scenes for the sake of story and for plot. But like Game of Thrones kind of gets to the point where it's gratuitous to me, where it's just too much for the sake of shock value. So I'm not into the Game of Thrones. I'm not into those kinds of books at all. But I really love my fantasy books. And I'm looking over historical fantasy or historical fiction is another favorite of mine, especially if it's in a unique setting that might teach me a little bit about ancient civilizations or ancient history that I didn't know about. What else do I really enjoy? Like, that's my favorite genre, and I probably need to come up one day on the vlog channel. I'll come up with like a list of some of my favorite books from those genres. And I'll try to sort it into like books that are more appropriate for a younger audience and books that are more appropriate for people around my age, which would be like up in the adult audience, because there's several books I really enjoy that definitely aren't for kids. So let's see, that's probably like, I have noticed either I want it to be completely original, new world, new everything fantasy books, or I really like historical fantasy and historical fiction. It's really fun. Oops, sorry about that, you guys. So Chips came in and he was ready to get something to eat. All right, these plants are ready to sell, which meant that I kind of had to make everything pause for just a second because my current setup, and this is kind of amazing, we've grown to be such a big community, even though I'm still just kind of in a corner in a room right now, is that I don't have an office. We only have a couple bedrooms in this apartment, which we are moving away from in a couple weeks now. And one of the bedrooms is our bedroom, and the other bedroom is his office because Chips is a researcher, so he needs to have plenty of room for his bookshelves. He needs to have a quiet place to go when he's working on his Chinese translations, and it's really hard to translate ancient Chinese anyway. So he's got that nice little quiet nook, but then every time like he needs to get some meal or something, that means I have to stop what I'm doing. So that's one of the huge reasons I am so excited for our new home, because we will both have offices in our new Michigan home. So you guys are going to see so many vlogs on the vlog channel where I just talk about the office and how excited I am to be in an office, and it's going to be really fun. Oh my gosh, it's going to be so much fun. All of those plants I was talking about earlier, all of the snail mail I'm going to be putting up on the wall and decorating that art with, it's going to be just such an experience for the very first time in my adult life to have a room to kind of claim as my own like that. So yeah, that's really exciting, and it sort of feels like that's why I work as hard as I do, so that you can have those benefits in life. So anyway, I'm rambling about that because this is a rambling series. This is the Q&A series. You get to know more about me and have me answer some of your questions just while we take care of all of these little plants, which I hope will sell, because I need to start making some money so we can breed the rare and mythical plants, which make you tons of money. All right, so I'm going to answer one more question today, and be sure to leave plenty of questions in the comment section below. I actually do collect them in a big giant Word document and then kind of scroll through and answer at random when I have a little bit of time to sit down with the Q&A series. And as always, you guys can like leave likes or comments. Just let me know that you enjoy the Q&A series, because like I said, I'm a sucker for them. I think it's fun to listen to somebody kind of ramble and learn a little bit more about somebody I spend so much of my time with when I watch their Let's Plays all day long. And And if you guys like it, then I'll be happy to make more of them and try to pull a little bit of space in my day just to sort of sit back and do this. All right, enough rambling. Focus, Seri, focus. So another question we have is from Janessa, and this question is actually asked almost every single day. And it is, Seri, will you ever play Animal Jam? And Animal Jam, for those of you guys who don't know, is a browser-based MMORPG, from what I can tell, that is from National Geographic's Kids. And I was really surprised because I didn't know National Geographic's had a game site, but they do. It sort of reminds me a lot of Neopets, but it's geared around trying to learn new things about animals and learn new facts about animals. And it's so popular among the people on my community. In our community, people get really, really excited about it. And when I first looked at it, I thought it didn't really look like my thing for two reasons. One, because it does have a subscription fee to be able to really get into the actual game itself. And two, it's just not really like the age group or style that I might personally enjoy. But as time has gone on, I've realized I might enjoy playing Animal Jam, and I definitely will be willing to give it at least a few episodes of a try just to see if I enjoy it, if I really get into it. Games like Wolf Quest and Horse Haven are examples of games where I wasn't sure when I started them, looking at the surface, if I would really enjoy them, but I kind of have this personal mission to try as many of the animal and farming related games that are decent and that are kind of family friendly, that, yes, my fern sold, huzzah, that I can get my hands on. So that's one of the reasons that I sometimes will try out games where people are like, are you sure about this? And I'm like, hey, like Cougar, the untamed life as a cougar, or life of a cougar, I should say. Yeah, I will go ahead and I'll dive in and I'll try that out, because why not? Let's go for it. It's related to animals. It's related to nature. I want to try it out. And I've kind of reached that stage with what I do. But this is sort of like a fun moment to note that it's not like I'm going out of my way to try to make a kids channel. And a lot of people think I am. And that's not the case. I am literally, I started with Sim stories and I moved into Zoo Tycoon 2. I've played things like game dev. I love tycoon games. I moved into Minecraft and really fell in love with it. And I don't cuss in real life either. And just having a family-friendly persona is probably just because it's part of who I am. It's my personality. I lived for so long. I joke that I lived for so long as a live-in nanny where I was with the kids I took care of literally almost 24/7 when they weren't in school, that I just sort of absorbed that into my being. And now I just kind of exude that nurturing, kid-friendly personality even when I'm not trying to. So it's not like I'm trying to go out of my way to make my channel a kid channel. It doesn't really have a business plan or anything behind it. I just love telling stories, and I can really find stories to tell in almost anything. I actually love a huge variety of games too. A lot of games that people might turn their noses up at, like app games on phones, I really enjoy. I really am not a game... I hesitate to say game snob, so I would prefer to say that I am very open to almost any type of games, any type of stories, to experiences and adventures. To me, playing a game with low graphics like Plant Tycoon or Zoo Tycoon 2, for instance, is just as exciting as playing a game like, say, maybe Subnautica or Ark, games that have more high-end graphics like that, or playing something like an app game. I get just as much enjoyment out of that as I would out of a Sims game because of all the stories I get to make up for everything. The fact that, yes, finally, another tree sold. The fact that I'm probably going to end up making a story about these ferns that are going to blossom. Why are you dead? That I'm going to make up stories about the ferns. Who knows? I can basically have any kind of game fall into my lap and I can just start making up stories almost immediately. It's just kind of who I am. It's part of my personality, and it kind of represents how much I love. Let's move all the bonsais up here. It kind of represents how much I love just letting my imagination be free, go wild, take off, fly into the air, imagination, off you go. And yeah, so that's why, in kind of a very, very rambly way, I would totally be fine with trying out Animal Jam because I'm open to almost anything. I don't really consider myself much of a game. Again, I hesitate to say snob. I guess I'm not picky. I guess that's what I'm trying to say about the games that I play. And so I don't want to come off as I'll play any kid game that comes along that looks popular, because that's not the case. I just really anything that kind of makes me feel inspired, or anything that has, wow, you guys are all so pretty, or anything that might have kind of like a quirky tone to it that just suits the mood I'm currently in, like tiny towers. I adore playing tiny towers. It's just so much fun to me. So anything that just sort of suits that mood I'm in, I'm totally fine with. And I'm not really, like I said, one of those people who is going to go, oh, but this is such and such a old graphics game or an app game, a console game, PC game. It doesn't matter to me as long as I can just have fun or enjoy some aspect of it. So that got really rambly because I got distracted with the plants, and I told myself I wasn't going to ramble on for too much longer, so I'm just going to stop now. But I do hope that lets you guys know, if you guys have suggestions for games to play, then feel free to suggest them. I don't like horror games, so I won't play horror games. And I don't do graphic games like Uncharted. People are like, but there's animals in Uncharted, Seri, and I'm like, no, that doesn't look like my kind of thing. So I'm always open to more suggestions, and I'm actually trying to get to the point where I can start rotating in some fresh games and just seeing if I enjoy them, seeing if you guys enjoy them, and even if they don't become a regular series right away, they might in the future. I'm trying to kind of rotate content a bit more, just because I feel like there's so many stories out there in the world to experience and to tell, and so many different places we can draw inspiration from for other series. Like right now, I'm kind of starting to get this itch to make a like flower nursery in Sims 4 for my Sims to go visit because of the time we're spending in Plant Tycoon. For me, all of the games are kind of connected in my head, and I'll draw elements from all of those different things to work on the stories that I'm currently creating in our different series. So yeah, that got a little bit weird and rambly. And don't forget, like I talked about with the cat cafe earlier, it's not like this is just limited to games. My channel, I also pull in things like specimen spotlights. I try to pull in adventure vlogs, going outside. It's all about just finding whatever story, whatever medium I can use to share the adventures, to share the stories, and to share my passion for the natural world, for curiosity, for plants, whatever I can do to share that with you guys, then I'm going to try to find a way. So yeah, okay. All right, enough rambling. Seri, you're an odd duck, Seri. So I'm going to stop rambling now, and I'll watch over these little seeds and leave you guys be. And yeah, as you can tell, this is a really casual, laid-back series. But if you enjoyed the rambling, let me know. You can ask me tons of questions. I'll be happy to jump on into them. And I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.